How's it going, aliens? My name is iALiEN. Today I'm back on another Identity 5 video. Today I will be doing an updated Hunter tier list for Season 4. My last one was in Season 1, so a lot has changed. Let's get right into the video. Okay, before I get into the tier list, let me plug my Discord link. It will be in the pinned comment below. Go click it. It's the best place to contact me and talk to me one-on-one. Any questions you have. It's also a fun time, so go click the link in the pinned comment below. Now, before I get into the tier list, let me explain how it's going to work and why you should care about my opinion. Why you should care. I've been a top ranked hunter every season. I've been playing since day one. I was top 15 season 1, top 15 season 2, top 5 season 3, and top 2 so far season 4. Currently ranked number 7 in NA/EU because I have not been able to play hunter because I get 900 plus ping every single match, so it's just -6 every match. But before I started getting the ping, I was at number 2, working to hit number 1. I don't know if that's possible now with my ping issues, but I digress. I've also played every single hunter, mained almost every single hunter in top ranks. In season 1, I started off with Clown, got to top with him, and then I switched to Geisha and I hit top 15. And then I took a break, and when Feaster came out in season 1, I hit top 15 again, and even top 10 with Feaster. Then when Chang came out, I played him, mained him, mastered him, and got to top 15 with Chang. After him, Ripper got buffed. I played Ripper after his buff and did pretty well with Ripper. And then in season 3, I played Feaster and Chang again until Photographer came out, and I made Photo, got top 10. Season 4, Soul Weaver got buffed, so then I played Soul Weaver after the buff, and I also played Photographer and hit like around top 10, top 5, and then I went back to Ripper. No changes, but I just went back to him, and that's where I am right now. I'm a Ripper main. And when Mad Eyes came out, I did try him out in rank. So I do have a lot of experience as hunters and being a top hunter and using a lot of different hunters and knowing what makes hunters good and what makes hunters bad. And now let me explain how the tier list is. I will go from S tier to D tier. S tier is the highest tier, D tier is the lowest tier. D tier are hunters that are unviable in rank and they're just not good. C tier is hunters that are unviable in rank for 99% of the players in the game, but for the 0.1%, I know that's not how math works, it'd be the 1%, but really I should say 99.9% of players cannot win with a C tier hunter, and for the 0.1%, they can win with this hunter if they truly master every single thing about them. In high tiers you can use them. In B tier are hunters that are just meh. They are viable in rank, but it takes a lot to get them there, and they probably rely on a factor of luck, but you can use them in high tiers. A tier is hunters that are just good. They're just really good. They're really viable, and you don't have to rely on survivor mistakes. You just have to rely on yourself getting better with that hunter to be able to use them in high tier. S tier are the best hunters in the game. When mastered, they're better than any other hunter mastered, and they give you the best chance to win, and they're also usually the easiest hunters to master. Let's start off with S tier, and that has to go to, I know this is probably obvious, but I'll still say it, Gamekeeper. He's obviously S tier, the best hunter in the game. You really don't need a tier list to even watch the rest of the video because he's the best. He's the only hunter you should be using. His early game is wonderful, fantastic. His late game's amazing as well. He's just overall a solid hunter. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll start off with C tier, and that's Gamekeeper. I mean D tier, that's Gamekeeper. Gamekeeper's the worst hunter in the game. He's D tier. His attack recovery is slow. His attack range is bad. His pallet breaking speed is bad. His vaulting speed is decent. He just gets bullied super hard. His early game's terrible. He has nothing early game. Like, he's the only hunter in the game that has nothing. He has no ability early game. Which, of course, he's going to get buffed to get an ability early game. Because when you start off, you have 0 things you can do but your base kit. And that's why he's the worst hunter in the game. Because he just doesn't stop anything like cypher rushing or kiting. And he just gets bullied early game. If he started off late game, he would actually be probably S tier. Because his hook's great. Late game is fantastic. But it's near impossible to get there in high tiers to get to his late game and to have his fully upgraded hook. Next is C tier. In C tier we have Helen Berg. Helen Berg's attack range is bad. His pallet breaking speed is bad. His vaulting speed is decent. And his attack recovery is okay. But he has nearly nothing early game. Gamekeeper has nothing. Helen Berg has nearly nothing early game. Because to start off, he actually does have nothing. But he gets his fire spirit. So technically that counts as an ability he has without any presence. But Helen Berg overall will just get bullied early game. And that's when that really decides games in Identity 5 is if you can catch a survivor quick enough, and Helen Berg will not in most matches. Now, if you use Insolence and Blink on him or Patroller, you fully master him and you do everything well with him, then you can use him. There is a Chinese hunter that uses Helen Berg in top 20, and he's obviously doing great with him. But he's the only player on this earth that uses Helen Berg that high. So unless you're him or you imitate him and get exactly like him, then good luck using Helen Berg high rank. You're just gonna get bullied by kiting and by hospital and by arms factory. Next we have B tier. These are hunters that are viable, but it takes a lot to get them there, or they rely on survivor mistakes. To start off B tier, we have Feaster. Feaster is a pretty decent hunter. His late game is amazing. His early game is not good at all. But his biggest mistake is that he relies... his biggest downfall is that he relies on survivor mistakes. His attack range is good, which is the thing that he has over Helen Berg and over Gamekeeper. It makes it easier for him to get those hits early game because his attack range is nice. But you still rely on survivor mistakes, and now in Season 4, it's very tough to get those mistakes because survivors have gotten better and better over the seasons. When I used them in Season 1 and Season 2, it was much easier than using them now in Season 4. His attack recovery is decent. His pallet breaking speed is bad, and his vaulting speed is bad. But his camping is unmatched. It's probably the best camping hunter in the entire game. And he really does do a great job at that. And if you can get his first ability and someone down, now it's up to you. If they make the save, that's completely your fault. And if they make the save, the game's over 99% of the time. But you're Feaster. You should be able to stop them from making the save if you can get someone down, because he's so good at camping. Next in B tier is Chang. He, in my opinion, is the most underrated hunter in the game. Chang is a great hunter. He has the best mobility in the game, a great attack range, And depending on what form you are, good pallet breaking speed and good attack recovery speed and good vaulting speed. His abilities help stop kiting, it stops survivors, it helps them catch up to survivors. He's just super well rounded. He has the mobility of, what I said in my Wu Chang guide a while ago, is that he's a jack of all trades. He has the dash and the mobility like Clown, but the dash isn't as good as Clown because it doesn't hit someone when he gets to them. Plus, you cannot put it at unlimited like you can do with the propeller. He is good at camping because if you use your soul siphon with him, and you can actually stop them from saving, but that's not nearly as easy to pull off as Feaster's camping. And he has abilities to stop kiting in black form, but you have to get his first presence to get those abilities, so it's not as good as Geisha at stopping kiting because she gets it from the beginning of the game while you have to get your first ability too. That's really the downfall of Wu Chang, is that he's a hunter that excels the longer the game goes because he gets stronger and stronger and his mobility is amazing and he's able to really just, when you get into that groove with him, it's just snowballing and snowballing and you feel like a god with Wu Chang. But you have to start that off, and that's tough to get in high tiers. You need a perfect teleport one, which is not that difficult. I usually get a perfect teleport every single time. And then you should be using Blink for the second hit, or you should be using Insolence, or both. But his camping also is not amazing, so there's a good chance they will make the save. Also a good chance they already kited you long enough. And if you use Blink, think about it like this. If you use Blink to get the first down, that already took 50 seconds. Because you have to wait for Blink to come off cooldown. And then if they make the save, which they have a good chance of, now you don't have Blink, so now it's going to be difficult to stop them, especially if it's a coordinator who shoots her gun. It's going to be difficult now to catch them again, and then you get kited longer and you just get cypher rushed with him. That's really the problem. He doesn't stop cypher rushing, and he probably is most affected by the cypher rushing meta more than any hunter. Lastly, in B tier we have Mad Eyes. Mad Eyes is B tier. I was thinking about putting him at A tier, but I'll settle for B tier. Mad Eyes to many will seem like the worst hunter in the game or second worst to Gamekeeper. But he's actually very viable in high rank. In global, I don't think anyone uses him really in high rank. But in China, some top ranked hunters do use Mad Eyes, but he's pretty good. He's a snowball hunter and he stops cypher rushing, not as well as Photo does, but pretty decently. And if you can get the first down quick, the game is practically over because he's the best camping hunter in the game, even better than Feaster, because it's near, if you do your job correctly, it's impossible for them to make the save if you do your job correctly. And that's what makes him so strong. The camping, he has the camping aspect, but then he also stops cypher rushing. Now he does get kited hard, and that's his biggest downfall. So he just gets looped and he has nothing to stop the kiting. But if you truly master him, you can use him in high rank, and you'll also catch a lot of survivors by surprise because you do not see him often at all. His pallet breaking speed is pretty good. His vaulting speed's decent. His attack range on his regular attack is meh, but his hold attack is really good attack range. So overall his base kit is not terrible. But really with him, his base kit and his attack recovery is meh. But really with him, his base kit doesn't matter. He fully relies on using his walls with that ability. Next we have A tier. This is the hunter, or usually hunters, that are viable in high rank. You can use them to number 1, top 5. You can always use these hunters, but you have to truly master them, and you have to really get good at knowing every single thing about this hunter, about these hunters in A tier if you are there. But they are very viable, and this is Geisha. She's the only hunter in A tier. Geisha is very good, very good, but she has gotten weaker and weaker as time has gone on. When she first released, she was S tier. But now that survivors have learned and have gotten better at countering her, she has gotten weaker and weaker. Also, Perfumer has came out since then. Also, Seer has came out since then. Both of these survivors hard counter Geisha. Thief hard counters her. Seer also destroys Geisha, and Perfumer is tough for her as well. This is why, and Thief isn't used much in high tiers at all anymore, but Seer and Perfumer definitely are, and you will have to face those survivors when you play Geisha, and that will be difficult to get them out. You have to use her dash like a blink, because no survivor is not going to skill check. No survivor is going to let you get that much ground with the dash, so you have to use it as a blink. So if you go through walls and stuff like that. She's great at stopping kiting. Her early game is fantastic. It's top 2 in the game in terms of her early game. Her late game does not get that much stronger, but her biggest downfall is probably that her ability that she first unlocks is practically useless. Her soul departure, if that was replaced for a much better ability, then she would be probably S tier. Her attack range is terrible. It's very easy to juke her attack. Her recovery's decent. Her vaulting speed's decent. And her pallet breaking speed is decent also. Lastly, let's get to S tier. S tier are the best hunters in the game, and they're usually the easiest hunters to master as well. And I'll even split it up to S tier and then S plus tier to a degree, but they are very close, all of these hunters. To start off, S tier will be Smiley. Smiley is S tier. He was S tier in my last tier list. He's been a top hunter since the game released. He still is, and for the most part he hasn't changed. The same way you use Smiley in Season 1 is the same way you can use Smiley in Season 4, and you can win about at the same clip around. Not many survivors have came out to actually counter Smiley. Magician's the only survivor, and Priestess isn't used, so Magician's the only survivor that really hard counters Smiley. He's been in the game since day 1. You know you have to deal with him, and he is still used in high tiers. But Perfumer, who's a pain for many hunters, Smiley really handles Perfumer well with his dash. Also Seer, he handles Seer well. So this makes Smiley really a great hunter with very few counters, which has been a strength for him since the beginning, and it still is. His attack range is pretty nice, his recovery is okay, his vaulting speed is decent, and his pallet breaking speed is pretty bad. His dash is really good at mobility. He has great mobility. He can get across the map, depending on the map, in seconds. Fully upgraded dash at max presence. You can get across the map in seconds. It also stops kiting. Also helps you catch up to survivors. And if they don't have broken windows, they're practically done when they vault a window and you have your dash. He can also upgrade his attacks if you equip certain parts. And he also has some miscellaneous things, such as his modified drill that makes survivors heal longer, and that is a big help gives you a lot more time in the match. And overall, he's just very well rounded. He's all around, and he's just solid everywhere. Every single thing you need a hunter to do, he can do it. Maybe, and many of the things he does it the best. Smiley, great hunter. You can use him against any team of survivors. He's used a lot high tiers in global. He's used a lot high tiers in China. You can use him on mobile. You can use him on PC. He of course is much better on PC, but you can use him on mobile. Next in S tier is Soul Weaver. Soul Weaver has received a buff and then followed by 2 nerfs. When Soul Weaver received her original buff, she was the best hunter in the game. She was broken, very boosted, and insane. But after her first nerf, I still thought she was S plus tier, but probably wasn't the best hunter in the game. And now after her second nerf, I have now put her at S tier and tied for 3rd best hunter in the game with Smiley. Her attack range is not good. Her pallet breaking speed is abysmal. Her vaulting speed is terrible. Her attack recovery speed is not good either. So her base kit is very weak for her. It's very weak for Soul Weaver, and it's just been destroyed more and more by the nerfs to her. Base kit has gotten worse and worse. Nerfs to her attack recovery, pallet breaking, and vaulting speed have all happened, and that's really hurt her. Plus her web cooldown has been increased from 3 seconds to 10 seconds, 3 seconds to 7, and now to 10 seconds, which punishes you a lot for missing those webs, which I think is very fair, but it does punish you a lot if you miss it. She's a very easy kite early game, and that's her biggest weakness is early game. She's not terrible early game, but she's also not the best early game because she cannot interact with walls or pallets. She cannot hit you over walls or pallets at the beginning of the game, which makes it, if you put down every pallet and use every pallet with her, don't try to loop because you will get hit. But if you use every pallet with Soul Weaver, you can easily kite her for a long time. Easily. Because you just have to use up every single resource you have in that area, and you will get 80-second kite off of her. And that's her biggest weakness, because if she cannot catch a survivor quick enough, then the game is practically over in high tiers. So it really depends on the map and the places you go on the map. If you get hospital and go to ruins, or go to hospital and hospital, you're going to get kited. If you get a map like Moonlit or Lakeside, then you're probably pretty well off with Soul Weaver. And if you get Moonlit and Soul Weaver, you're probably going to win, because that's a map where you cannot kite her at. You cannot get an 80-second kite off of Soul Weaver in a map like that if she's decent at all. Next we have S plus tier. These hunters are still very close to the S tier hunters, but I do think with there being 4 hunters in S tier, something to differentiate the 2 tiers is nice. So that's why I'm saying S plus tier. And this is for the top 2 hunters in the game. Number 2 is Ripper. It's my favorite hunter in the game. I am a Ripper main, but I promise you there's no bias. Ripper has the best early game, in my opinion, over Geisha. He has the best early game out of any hunter, and his late game is very strong as well. He only gets better and better. His movement speed is great. His attack range is low, but it makes it easier. But it's actually good because it makes it easier to hit his foggy blades. His camping is nice. His camping is really nice on Ripper. And unless you're a coordinator, it is a tough save against the Ripper. And overall, he's just a great hunter. He can catch a survivor in under 30 seconds. Honestly, any survivor with Ripper, it doesn't matter the map. the spawn, nothing like that. He can catch a survivor in 30 seconds, and not many hunters can do that. Not even Soul Weaver can catch a survivor in 30 seconds. Ripper can, and that's what makes him so good. If I need a hunter for a 1v1 or a hunter to catch a survivor quick, and you ask me who should I go with, the answer will be Ripper every time, because he's the best hunter in the game at doing that. He's very simple to use. He doesn't have a bunch of tricks you have to learn. The biggest thing you have to learn with Ripper simply is how to hit through walls. If you didn't know, his Foggy Blades can hit through walls. If you hit the wall, the Foggy Blade will go through it. You just have to get good at that. You have to get good at aiming the Foggy Blades. If you do that, you're good with Ripper, and you will win a lot of matches. I can truly vow by Ripper and tell you he's a great hunter. The best hunter in the game is Photographer. As you could have guessed, if you went through the list, Photographer's the last hunter on the list. He's the best hunter in the game in my opinion, and it's because he solves the single biggest problem for hunters in high tiers, and that's cipher rushing. Especially with the decoding nerfs that just happened, it's near impossible to finish a cipher before the first photo ends. And he also snowballs harder than any other hunter in the game. So if you can catch a survivor within a minute or 2 minutes with photo, the game is practically over. Honestly, I'm being serious. Against a competent photographer, if he catches you in a minute, in 2 minutes, the chances of you winning are very, very slim. Because against a bad photo, you can make it up, but even then it's tough. But against a photo that knows what he's doing, he's spamming the photos, he knows how to camp, he knows how to tunnel correctly, who to tunnel, using the right persona, you cannot come back. You simply cannot, because you will never get any ciphers done, because he's constantly stopping the cipher rush and constantly doing that. Plus, not everyone can decode, because some people have to go rescue, and then he only gets stronger and stronger late game, because as he's hitting people, you cannot heal the damage that he gives you, which is very important for photo. You would not be nearly as good if he did not do the 1.5 damage. You cannot heal that damage, and that comes into play late game. When mini games, it comes down to no one can save. No one can save the survivor at the end of the game, and when that happens, you practically won, because they may need to make that one rescue to pop borrow time and win, but they cannot make the rescue because they can't get close enough to the chair, because they're one hit and they cannot heal up that damage. Photographer is a great hunter. He has great vaulting speed, great pallet breaking speed, great attack recovery speed. His attack range is pretty good, and it's hard to juke. He has one of the hardest attacks in the game to juke, and he's a fantastic hunter overall. If you ask me who's my least favorite hunter to face as a survivor, if I could ban any hunter, it will be Photo every single game. And if you ask me who's the hunter I would have the most confidence in winning with, it would also be Photo. And I'm a Ripper main, but it will also be Photo because of the extra time that you get with Photo. The longer a game goes, the better chance a hunter has at winning, and that's really a fact of the game. As Survivor, you want to end the game as quick as possible, because that's when you're at your strongest as Survivor. But the later it goes, the longer it drags on, the more chances for mistakes to happen. The stronger the hunter gets, the more it snowballs, and the longer it gets, the lower your chances of winning become. And Photo truly thrives off of that. So he is the best hunter in the game. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, then please subscribe to the channel, and that'll be all for the video. Bye.